everyone, welcome to the Smart Algorithm. Let's understand what is Java exception, how exception work in Java, how Java handle the exception. First, let's understand what is exception. So let's get started. So before starting, I would request you please subscribe my channel. It's in starting phase, so that will support me. Thank you. And let's start. So first of all, let's understand what is exception. So exception is an unwanted or unexpected event which occurs during the execution of a program at runtime that disrupt the normal flow of a program's instruction. So as per the definition, we can understand like any reason that stop your program's execution. It it called exception. And there are two types of exception in Java. That is checked exception and unchecked exception. So by example, let's understand what is exception. So I have written a program that is printing step 1. After that I am initializing two variables a and b. B is 0, a is 10. It is printing step 2, and after that it is calculating something like it is dividing 10 from 0 and taking result and printing result 3 in step 3. So let's run this program. Let's see what happened. So as we can see here, it printed step 1, this line, step 2, this line, but it didn't print this line. But it throws exception at line 10. As you can see here, exception thread main arithmetic exception divide by 0, and exception test, it is printing line 10. So in this line it is throwing error. It means this is the exception, that is unchecked exception. We will learn what is unchecked exception. Okay, then the method, just give me 1 minute. Then the method must either handle the exception or it must specify the exception using the throws keyword. Let me show you how checked exception work. Before proceeding, let's check the diagram architecture of exceptions. So as you can see here, the topmost class is object class, and this is the parent class of all class in Java. So the first topmost class is throwable in exception hierarchy, and the exception in Java categorized in two categories: unchecked exception and checked exception. As we can see here, in yellow part is checked exception that we were going through, uh, and in green one is unchecked exception. Okay, so throwable is divided into two parts: error and exception. So error may be any reason like out of memory, stack overflow, linkage error, illegal argument exception, number format exception, arithmetic exception. So arithmetic exception and index out of bound exception, these are runtime exception. These are part of exception. But error mainly are four, like three: out of memory error, stack overflow error, and linkage error. But exception is further divided into two categories: IO exception and runtime exception. We can say that like in runtime exception, we also have five exception: illegal argument exception, index out of bound exception, number format exception, arithmetic exception, index out of bound exception. And in checked exception, we have in this diagram three exception: IO exception, file not found exception, socket exception. So let me show you the one example of checked exception. So I have written a line there. I am using a file class to fetch a file from my system in D drive in my file folder. So this file class throwing file input stream class, it indicating me that you should uh, either handle this exception either by using add throws keyword or by using try catch block. So it is indicating me. So I can handle this checked exception in two ways: by adding throws keyword, like it added throws keyword here. So now this exception is handled. Um, and second way is by using try catch block. So I'm writing this line that is that may throw checked exception. I'm writing this line try block, and if this block throws exception, then throws exception will be handled in this catch block. Got it? So this is checked exception. If your code is throwing any checked exception, then you must handle that exception. But in case of unchecked exception, compiler will not force you to handle that exception. Got it? So this is the difference between checked exception and unchecked exception. So now let's check the unchecked exception. What is unchecked exception? So as we can see here, we will take an example of arithmetic exception, that is runtime exception, and runtime exception is uh, unchecked exception. So let me open one example where I'm dividing a variable with b, and I'm dividing 10 to 0. Dividing here my a variable to from b. So I'm dividing 10 to 0. So it is throwing me error. So let me remove the try catch block. This is unchecked exception. Arithmetic exception is unchecked exception. So it will not force me to handle this exception. So let me run this code again. It is still working, but it is throwing error. It is not forcing me that you should handle this exception, like this exception. This is file not found exception. Let me run this code. It is throwing error, file not found error. If I will write this code without try and catch block, it will compiler will indicate that you should handle this exception. It will force me without handle this exception. My program will not compile. So either I should throw the exception, or by using try catch block I should handle this exception. After that I can proceed with my program. So this is checked exception. And in starting, we have read about checked exception. If some code within a method throws a checked exception, then the method must either handle uh, the exception, or it must specify the exception using the throws keyword. Okay, so we already learned about like what is unchecked exception. So unchecked exception are under the error and runtime exception classes are unchecked exception. Everything else is under throwable is checked exception. We already learned what is errors. Any illegal operation which stop the execution of a program is called errors. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe my channel. Please support me as this is my new channel. So please support me. In next video we will learn about the custom exception. Thanks.